we're going to get to the next thing in a second here, but I do kind of want to bring this up because, okay, it's one thing to go, my buddy Kody, you got to win. It's awesome. I'm looking to have one of those first interviews out. And listen, you know, Ariel's not talking to you yet, so I should be in that top contention. And I was like, it's all right. He's going to wait. He's going to be a good guy. And then I see you with 3 other hooligans, these amateurs who are coming in here and taking the podcast world by storm here in the jiu-jitsu world. And I say, oh, so you're going to do me like that. Not only are you not going to wait for me, you're not going to show up here in time. You're going to take a week off, all good. But then you go on those hooligan show. And you know what? I thought to myself for a second here, I was like, is this a test here, Kody? What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. Guys, we have an excellent guest for you today. He is just, I mean, he's chomping at the bit. Look at him. He wants to get on here real quick, but he knows we have to do the plugs. So first and foremost, you like this shirt. Look at this. Look at this merch. You want one of these. All you have to do is go on over to rafasparza.com. You get some nice t-shirts. You can get a hoodie. I know it's cold. Yeah, granted, it is getting hotter and whatnot, but I can tell you this. If you want to stay cool, because sometimes, I don't know, you go to a tournament and you want to stay a little warm, not too warm, our hoodies do a great job of that. T-shirts, $25, hoodies, $45, or you can get a combo of the two at $60. So that is at either rafasparza.com/merch or grapplinghour.com. You can also like, comment, and subscribe on this video right now. If you have no idea what you want to comment on, by the end of the video, we will give you a prompt. There's going to be plenty to talk about, especially with our guest here today. Other reminders, we are currently on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you could also like, rate, subscribe, star rating, whatever they do on those things, go do that. It does help us to get more people. And we're noticing that a lot more people are getting impressions. So that means that they're seeing this show a little bit more thanks to your help. So every little bit helps. And, you know, if you like our show and you want to see these interviews 30 days before anybody else, you can always check out our stuff on patreon.com/grappling hour. See our interviews 30 days before anybody else for just $5 a month. And for a few extra dollars, you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including we're doing a fight study with our guest here today on his most recent fight. We also do a segment called Roast Draft where people roast my competition footage. We also do topics that you yourselves in this tier pitch to me. So it's a little bit of all different columns, and we really do appreciate the support here. So that's what I got for you guys. All right, let's get to our guest. Oh, join our Discord at Grappling Hour. Our guest. Well, is it a coincidence that our guest wins a fight? And I said, hey, bro, you live in Vegas. I'm out here for the PGF. I'm in Vegas. Let's just get together. Let's do this interview in person because I like doing them in person better. My man says to me, bet, which means let's do it, kids, in case you don't know the lingo. And I'm like, yes, okay, great. That's going to be so good. We're going to talk about this amazing fight that he just got. Oh, it's awesome. They're talking about it being this prospect. Everybody wants to see this guy in the UFC. And then he says, you know what? I'm going to be back on Sunday. And I was like, wow, why are you going to do me dirty like that? Because I leave on Saturday, my man. And I've been in Vegas at that point for more than a week. And listen, love Vegas. It's like a second home to me. But I think of it this way. I think he was trying to get out of training with me. I think he knows there may be receipts that need to be had. And listen, I want him to go to the UFC. I don't want this to be a bloodbath. I don't want this to be bad beef. He's a friend of the show. And he's a savage. So yeah, it's not an easy roll with him ever. But I just have to ask you, one, Kody Steele, why are you ducking me now, sir?
Because I'm scared. I'm terrified.
I'm very glad that we have that on record now, that we can replay that clip. It's just, do you know how heartbreaking that was to me to like look over and think to myself like, okay, great, we can do this one in person because I prefer it that way. And then to see you say like, hey man, I'm not going to be back. I'm going to be spending time with extended friends and family out here in in Texas. So what were you doing out in Texas and what kept you out that way?
Just chilling, you know, after the fight. I'm for the most part, I'm already like mentally prepared. But even like, you know, the camps themselves for the MMA are pretty tough. So I normally take like a week off, 2 weeks off. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna take like a hard week off of no training, then I might as well see the fam and the friends and hang out with everybody while I'm out there, you know.
How does the no training work when you have people like the Tackets, who I'm sure you're going to go visit? I think you guys speak a language of violence and movement. So, like, are you still training with them, or is it a hard no training off?
Like when I'm in Texas and I'm like getting ready, like when I was getting ready, I was like kind of my fight week prep and stuff. I was doing more drilling with the boys, and then towards the end, I got to like train with them, but I only trained like maybe like one day because like I tried to train, like I fought on Sunday, I tried to train on Tuesday, but my body just wasn't having it. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday came, and my body was still beat up, but I was able to at least get on the mat and move around from a bit. But it was hard after the fight. If it was like jujitsu, if it was a jujitsu match, I'd be training on Monday. But yeah, the MMA fights leave me all banged up, so I couldn't get in there, unfortunately.
I also find this, as resident old person here, listen, dude, I just do jujitsu. I'm not trying to stand and bang with anybody. Even me on a bad day is like, hey, man, my body wants to train, but my brain is not allowing me. So I understand well what you were speaking of here, but you also go to war and you also go in these big matches. But I got to tell you, man, just so you know how I paint the scene on our side, I think you were fighting on. Oh, we just lost Kody. Hold up here. Oh, and he's back. We just at the PGF, we're doing our draft day there. And when we were doing our draft day, there's kind of like this buzz about us where we're excited for this thing, but I'm also trying to keep eyes on you fighting. And at one point, I was in pre-production. I was like, yo, make sure we got eyes on Kody. Let me know how he's doing. And somebody's like, oh, he won. And I was like, oh, well, shit, how'd he win? And they're like, how do you think? And I was like, did he knock it out? And they're like, I go, okay, well, hey. And I was in such a better mood. And once we were done and exhausted that day, we did make time to watch your fight. And I have to tell you, dude, it was really, really exciting to see you get that big of a win. What did that win in particular mean to you, though?
It meant a lot because I feel like my fight before that, the one like I fought a tough guy. I don't think I was really prepared for that fight, to be honest, but I just kind of threw everything out and was like, all right, I'm just going to go in there and jump in the fire and do what I need to do. And I felt like that fight, I just showed my toughness. And then this fight, I was really proud of it because the guy was really tough. Like he was like a veteran. A lot of people here in Vegas know who this guy is. He's like really, really tough. And then I went out there and like I showed for sure toughness, but I also showed like I think my skills now and like kind of what I'm doing, and I was able to like I felt like outclass the guy, so I felt really happy about that, and it was a good fight. Like I needed a fight like that, like one more good fight like that before I go to the next thing for me, you know.
So we're going to get to the next thing in a second here. But I do kind of want to bring this up because, okay, it's one thing to go, my buddy Kody, you got to win. It's awesome. I'm looking to have one of those first interviews out. And listen, Ariel's not talking to you yet, so I should be in that top contention. And I was like, it's all right. He's going to wait. He's going to be a good guy. And then I see you with 3 other hooligans, these amateurs who are coming in here and taking the podcast world by storm here in the jiu-jitsu world. And I say, oh, so you're going to do me like that. Not only are you not going to wait for me, you're not going to show up here in time. You're going to take a week off. All good. But then you go on those hooligan show. And you know what? I thought to myself for a second here, I was like, is this a test here, Kody? Like, are we testing my patience? Because the interview is not bad. They did a great job with you. And I was very proud of them. Now, granted, you know, one of my favorite things to do about anytime I watch clips or anything from the show is see how true to form they are. And for Nicky Rod to ask you, I have a question for you. And you're like, okay, what is it? You go, how strong was Mika? And I go, yeah, you know what? That's exactly the type of question I would expect him to have. Yeah, that checks out. Okay. Profile on that one. So yes, how was that experience? And I saw that you did that one in person with them. So thanks for that. But how did you enjoy doing that with the boys?
It was good. You know, it was like chilling, hanging out with them. Like in the beginning, it's always like, you know, you're like, oh, everything's being recorded, so it's kind of. But then honestly, after a while, you just kind of forget that the cameras are there, and you kind of just start saying stuff, and they're like, oh, like you just kind of forget. But it was good. It was good being on the podcast with them, hanging out, chilling and stuff. But, you know.
Is it also different in the sense that clearly here we're never going to have an actual super fight, but with them, they're kind of your contemporaries. So you do speak a certain language together. Is it odd to be sharing kind of war stories and being able to ask things about their collective history? Like when you're asking like, hey, what did you guys do when you were in the blue basement, and getting that kind of rapport? Because, you know, one thing that I thought was very cool was they were giving you your props for your Mika match. And it's like, yeah, you didn't win, but you had a great match. And it's cool to hear your peers also acknowledge that and be like, yo, dude, that's so awesome that you just said, I'm on my side quest missions. And, you know, hey, listen, I'm not scared of anybody. I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it is cool. You know, it feels good to like get the recognition and stuff like that, especially from like those those boys and those guys, because it's like they're deep in like the community of jiu-jitsu. So if they were hearing some stuff, they probably wouldn't even brought it up, or they'd sort of been like, "Man, you suck," you know. But then, yeah, it's cool. You know, it makes it more fun. Like I said, like when I'm doing this MMA, I'm definitely going to be keeping up and doing some like jujitsu matches and stuff on the side, and hopefully, I'm just fighting like the toughest guys that are like coming through. So that would be dope.
From my perspective, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like they've also invited you over to the Apex Center multiple times. So when you're there, you get invited to these really cool events that are both for MMA or for jiu-jitsu. And I just think to myself, I'm like, yo, you are just showing the destination to this man that I'm sure every time you're sitting in those seats, you're like, okay, cool. Just give me a little time. I'm going to be here. What has it been like to be at both the performance center like that and the Apex Center, where you've been able to kind of pick up and see what that surrounding is, especially for somebody who's used visualization such as yourself?
Man, it's really cool. I think that was like one of the bigger reasons why I moved out here. It was like like in my mind and in my visions, I was like, well, I'm gonna be in the UFC. I'm gonna be fighting the top guys. So I might as well just like immerse myself and be in the system already and just start getting used to it. And it's cool, like when I'm at the PI, like I'm like starting to get to know all the people who are working there already. I'm like super friendly with a lot of people there. And then also like when I'm at the PI, they have like all the guys who like fight at the Apex on the weekends. Like all these cool UFC fighters are coming through, and then if they know me, then they normally message me, and then like I'll go like train with them, or like I kind of like watch them and like kind of see them. If I don't know who they are, I'm like, oh, who's your name? What's your name? And they'll be like, oh, I'm like, they'll say they're fighting on the weekend. I'm like, oh shit, okay. So then by the weekend comes, it's like the whole card. It's like of the fight night. I've been like watching and hanging out with them in the sauna and stuff, talking to them. So it's kind of cool. Like I get to build like a little relationship with these guys, and then they go fight on the weekend, and then I'm like, oh shit, this guy's fighting sick. Pretty cool. Like for UFC 300, they had all the guys in there. They had like Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira. Like all those guys were like in the PI, just like hitting mitts, training. I didn't like really talk with them too much because you could definitely tell that they were getting ready for like a big moment because they were like super like locked in and they had like an entourage around them the whole time. But it's still like cool to see those guys in that high level and see like what kind of like how locked in they are. Like it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I've covered at the UFC before, and it is a different experience to see it right up there because you are watching people in what many people would consider their most stressful environment and moment. And yet the difference of ways that people do it, like some people are talking to you, again, same thing with jiu-jitsu. I try not to go up to everybody if I know that they're competing. I let them come up to me because I'm like, listen, it's not like I don't want to see you guys. It's just you're in your zone. And, if you make eye contact with me and you want to say hello, it's perfectly fine. But if you're locked in, I just kind of let you go and do your own thing. But for you, getting that feel starts to make you acclimated so that when it comes time for you, you've seen different perspectives and you can kind of put it together in a way that makes sense for you. So it is very good building blocks to be having there. I want to get into this. We'll actually break down your fight for those of the folks who follow on the Patreon. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about this, but what in particular do you kind of subscribe to or believe was the reason that you were able to pull away with this fight? Because it was good, you were able to finish, and that's awesome. But for you, what really clicked in and worked on that day?
Um, I think I think what really worked for me that day was like, it felt like I was doing that. Like, it felt like I did that stuff every day, which I do now, like my other fights were all in Austin, Texas, and I was like preparing for them, but it's like I was still just doing jujitsu, still just doing Muay Thai. So when I was in the cage, like if I was against the cage, I was like, oh man, like this is different. I haven't been here before, or like I would be like in some type of weird position, like not doing punches to takedowns, and then like everything just felt so new to me. But now, like this time, everything felt so familiar. It felt like I was just training, and then also like everything like game plan wise, like just talking about like it with like the coaches and my friends. I was like, okay, this is the game plan. Round one's gonna be like this. Round two is gonna be like this, and then round three it's going to be like this, and all around pretty much went exactly how we drew it up, so I was like real happy about that.
What I always wonder is you kind of allude to this a couple different times, but you make mention of the fact that you wanted to build a certain amount of experience before going into the UFC. So we do have some breaking news here, and I'm glad. Now, this is where I compliment you because we did take our time to do the interview, but it did work in my favor that we would be the first destination you'd go to after making the big announcement that you will be on Dana White's Contender Series based off your resume and your last performance. What did it feel like to get that notification, to get that sort of validation right there, sir?
um it feels good because like I feel like I don't know, I've been thinking about this type of moment for like months to come, like I was always like thinking about this, but I was also, trying to think of like each fight. I didn't want to look past my opponents, but I was just like and visualize like, me beating these guys and then getting to this moment. So far, everything's like kind of going up to plan, the job's obviously not done yet. Like I got to go in there and I got to do work and take this guy out. And then, after that, then, I got a ton more, like a lot more work to do after that. So it's exciting and it's good. But, like I've already been, you know, visualizing this moment coming. I've already visualized, me like walking out, fighting in front of Dana and then finishing that guy and getting contract. So it's like, everything's still like good, but it does feel good because, like I said, like I do like coming from jujitsu, and I feel like too, like the fight pass or just, sometimes people in general, they're like, ah, Kody's gonna do this, Kody's gonna do that. Fight pass would be like, is this gonna be the last time we see Kody fight on Fury? Da, da, da. And then like I knock it out of the park, and then I'm like, all right, let's go. That feels good.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it's one thing when it's us because, you do consider yourself to be a representative of jiu-jitsu and you very much are. Arguably also wrestling, so that's always in that mix too. But when I look and I see you, I know that's coming from our community. And then I think about the insanity that must be coming from Fight Pass being like, are you looking at Kody Steele? Did you see this? And I think to myself, I'm like, they have had eyes on you for a very long time. Does that put pressure on you? Or does that make you kind of like work that much harder to make sure that you're going to justify that kind of talk that's not even coming from you?
Mm. I feel like I think I'm ready now. You know, like I think the cool thing about coming up to the jiu-jitsu community, and like flow grappling and all that, like it was kind of like it kind of like trained me for this moment to come. You know, like I remember when I just started, you know, and me and William were just starting to make names for ourselves through the community. Um, and then like we started getting more on flow grappling, and then people like, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, Cody's freaking wrestling is so good. It's like it's this, it's that." And then boom, I fight Dante Leone like shortly after, and the next guy takes me down like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, damn, what the heck? I thought my wrestling was supposed to be sick. And so it's like, you know, like the jujitsu is like definitely, you know, like it brought me up, and then it's been able to humble me. And so like, but at the end of the day, like I know like how good I am. I know where I'm at. Like I know I can beat these guys. I know I can also be beaten. So that keeps me like really grounded, and like I think that's like a weapon for me, because like I don't feel like if everything feels so similar to like when I was doing coming up through jujitsu. Like people started to recognize me, they started noticing, and then they started talking about me, and then you know things like that start happening. And this feels like everything's been feeling so familiar, and yeah, I'm like ready to make this walk again and do it again, because like I don't think like, you know, Fight Pass, I think they put the hype on me and stuff, and like so like I meet a lot of the guys that like work here at Fight Pass, and they talk to me a lot, and then when they see me and they're like, "Oh bro, you're gonna be it, you're doing it, you know, we're gonna put all this on you," and I'm like, "Yeah, do it, don't care, like, you know, I can handle it, so I'm not too worried about it."
Good for you, man. I just know that in any given space, it's different because we're in a sport where people like to do one of the following. One is if the person's talking about themselves, the inevitable that comes with that is he's not that good. But when other people are talking about that, sometimes it becomes like, oh, that dude's getting overhyped. And you see it with fighters who are very, very skilled. I do believe to get into the UFC, you do have to show a lot. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's not even stuff that you know. There's no formula that says X plus Y equals UFC. Sometimes it's a
Mhm.
look, sometimes it's a feel. And they have a good track record of making a lot of different stars. I just feel like it is always a good compliment when they are witnessing you and saying like, hey, we like you and we believe in what you do. You know, we're confident that you'll give us good results, so go out there and do that. And I can't speak for anybody else really than the jiu-jitsu community, which is I think we're just fans of excitement, so that even when we see the people that we really like have a moment where it's like, oh, he got taken down, that's supposed to happen. Like if it was math, this would be easy. It'd be like, well, guess what? I know X plus Y equals Z. So why are we going to have this match? And yet at the
Yeah.
same point, it makes us all kind of excited to tune into the next one. But for your thing, it just looks like you're picking up new skills that you need for the entire cause, not just for this solo purpose of jujitsu, but to continue doing even bigger and better things, especially in the MMA scape. Having said all of that, I do want to ask these questions, which is okay, your boys had a great ADCC. Okay, let's start with this. What did it feel like to watch two of your very, very close friends, brothers, no less, end up taking such huge leaps and getting what they deserved as ADCC trials winners at this most recent ADCC trials?
Man, it was pretty crazy, to be honest. Like I was so happy for him and everything, and and I was like just going crazy. But then like also at the same time, like inside, like I almost didn't have like any doubt in the world that those two boys were gonna do that day, because one, like I know like Williams is like he's just a savage, you know, and he was like he was just feeling good. I knew I wasn't worried about William winning the 88 division, but Andrew, sometimes with Andrew, like he's very like he moves a lot. He's crazy. He's a crazy cat, you know. So sometimes in his past matches he's been able to get caught because he is so crazy. But this one, just like being able to like train with him and talk to him, he, for one, when I was training with him, there was one particular round I went with him, and it was like, uh, he just like took it to me, and like I just barely survived it, but I was pretty much broken on the inside. And I was like, dude, this kid's he's worldly now. Like it's over. Like Andrew's like on that other side for sure. And then talking to him before that, before the weekend and stuff, he was saying like, oh, I'm not. He's like, I'm not here to like put on a show. Like I'm gonna hold position, score, and I'm gonna win. And I was like, okay, that's the Andrew that's gonna win today. Because he likes to put on shows too, but sometimes put on a show you get caught. But it was freaking, it was crazy to see both of them win at the same time, and like back to back too. It was like boom boom. I was like, fuck, this is nuts.
Did you have particular moments for each of them individually that stuck out to you during their ADCC trials run?
I wouldn't say. I think I was just kind of like, and with both of them, like I really felt like when I was watching them on the first day, I was like, oh damn, they're even on the second day, but like they were just cruising. Honestly, like they didn't ever hit that redlining moment where they were just so tired and they had any tough matches. It really felt like they were just in third gear the whole time, and it's just because I know how much more they can push and how much more they can do. Like I didn't ever see them like switch to like those fifth and sixth gears to like start redlining. Like and they never were ever in trouble. So like I felt really good. It just like honestly like their matches the whole way through were like awesome. I will be nervous though when they go to the real ADCCs, just because it's like there's a bunch of dogs in there and anybody can win it that day. So
I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing. I think a lot of us kind of have that in the back of our heads. Like, even when you see the homies that are closest to you get at the big dance, you think to yourself, oh, okay, well, we got here. So
right.
now we should just be really, really accepting that things are going to happen that are really going to test you, and they may break you or they may make you feel a certain way, and you really have to be ready for that. So whatever it is, but I think for the two of them, I'll say this. When I interviewed William after he won the last time for trials, he was telling me he was surprised that Andrew didn't win then. Like, he was giving the rubber stamp. He's like, no, I thought he was going to win that time. And he wasn't wrong. He was going to win. It just wasn't the right year. I would say what I've seen and what you're maybe alluding to with what you're discussing with Andrew is a little bit more of a maturity in terms of put your athlete needs ahead of the audience for a change. Because if you continue to do well, you'll have more opportunities to give us a show. But why not try to be as good as you can be? And then on these who's number one or solo super fights, that's where you let out that gas tank to be that showman.
Yeah, for sure. And like most of the times, honestly, like I get like so nervous when they compete. Like I almost get my teeth like start like chipping. Like I can't stop. I get really nervous. It's really weird. But like I said, like that weekend, I didn't get any nervousness at all. I was just like prepared for both these boys to go out there and do their thing. But um, yeah, that's the one thing that they have switched. That Andrew in particular has switched because and just taking a lot of matches with like really good guys out of nowhere, and then he'll be like whomping on them, and then he starts doing stuff, and then boom, he gets his leg caught, and you're like, bro, what are you doing? But like, that's just Andrew. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Like he was definitely. We thought he was gonna definitely win the last one as well. He's always been on that level, but sometimes I think you need to make those you got to fail and make a couple mistakes to realize what you did, and then you know the second time it didn't happen again.
Yeah, and I mean, it made for such a great moment. I saw the photo of you with the boys on the podium, and I just thought that was so great. And I was so genuinely happy for those two individuals in particular. But what was your role that weekend? Because are you coach Kody? Are you in the corner when you say you're nervous? Are you in the audience in the splash zone area that hooligans like yourself would often go into? Like, did you get the feeling of going there and having to be run over at some points? Like, what was your role in this particular ADCC, sir?
Just kind of being there, being there with the boys, talking to them through the matches, telling them when they're up, hyping them up, getting them ready, keeping them mentally here, mentally strong, keeping them confident. And then, yeah, when they're out there, I try to coach those guys, but they already know what they're going to do, but I think more than anything, it's always like keeping things fresh, the things that they're looking for, like before they go out, they're like, just keep telling me to remind me on my feints and like make sure I'm on my level changes and my underhooks and my snap downs and things like that, So, because once they get into it, I mean, they're going.
Well, I was obviously wondering this because I never stopped wondering it. But if that was your role that weekend, how hard was it to contain the ability to want to compete? You're obviously dialed in. You have a fight already scheduled, not too far away from that trials process. But being there is also a very strange phenomenon, especially when you see two of your closest people and knowing where you stand with them and that you're also in that contention. That when you're with them, I'm sure there's some sort of innate ability in you that says, yeah, I kind of want to get out there a little bit again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. Especially like when I see some of the guys that I haven't had matches with, or like guys beating other guys, or especially like I said, like the boys just winning matches and doing and going and going. It's like it makes me really want to be out there with them. Being able to like win matches and be alongside them. But I definitely like having and also at work because of my MMA fight. I think it was like 2 weeks or something after that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was already in really good shape. I was pretty much in fight shape, ready to go. So like I definitely was feeling a little itchy. I was like, damn, I want to get bad. Well,
I'm sure you saw some people who were seated in very safe areas and you were just like, oh man, I mean, I could take this person and suplex them out here.
I can scramble on top of those bleachers.
I will say though, I don't know if you saw this clip. I'm sure you did. It made its way around, but at the PGF, it looked like PJ and Andy upped the ante. Like they went out to the couch area, and I wasn't sure as a connoisseur of going off the mats, did that catch your attention? Did that get you to kind of go up and go, oh, well, that's interesting. How did you take that clip? I'm sure you did see it.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. It's crazy. And then when I saw who did it, I was like, well, that doesn't surprise me. Fucking Varela, crazy guy.
And you've recently been able to get some training in with him over at 10th Planet. How has that integration gone? Because he is such a good training partner for you, and similar where I see him and Canuto. Like you just wonder what those sessions are like. You two can both be dogs, and I know that's been really, really good for you. What has that been like from your perspective on going over and getting those rounds over with the 10th Planet crew?
It's been really that's been really good. Honestly, like I was thinking about moving to two different places, and one of them was here in Vegas, and then the other one was going to be over in Phoenix, Arizona, because I was thinking about training over at the lab, and I was like, okay, well, MMA wise, like the lab is good, it has everything, but also if I move to Vegas, like that's like the capital of fighting, like I should have everything I need, and then like I was like, well, shoot, like I don't know. Like I know they got some good grappling for sure in Arizona, but like I've been to Verla's before and I've obviously trained with him a bunch. But like just like his gym, it kind of reminds me of Fight Factory, like the vibes and the energy, and then the training partners that they have there. So like it's been really good, and like when I go there, a lot of MMA fighters will be there too from like different gyms. So like I'm constantly like getting work with MMA fighters and I'm doing wall wrestling, jiu-jitsu stuff with them. So I'm like learning that way. And then like I'm always getting my rounds in like with Varela, and it's like it's always all over the place. We have like really good like hard scraps, and then he's also really good at just like moving and then just training. Like he's got a good ego on him, like he'll like he's not, because I've trained with some people who just don't like to lose, like they'll never want to lose. And then I'll train with him and it's like we'll be fucking going back and forth. There'll be some days like obviously when he's getting ready for competition or like me or something, we're a bit more, like friction, we start going at it harder, we don't give up stuff. But then like when it comes to training, he can also train really well too. I like his classes. I like his style. It's a lot of wrestling. It's kind of a lot of the same stuff that I like to do anyway. So it's like every time I take a class, it's like I learn something good. And then he's got some killers in there too that fucking I love training with. So it's been like one of the coolest things being here. It's just exhausting going in there. So you got to pick your days.
Now, that also meant that you were probably seeing him before, and I'm not sure if you saw him after. I'm just going to assume you did, before and after his PGF run. I'm curious to see from your perspective, what was he like before that tournament? Because I'm pretty sure you saw that it's 12 matches over a certain amount of days guaranteed, then the finals. So what was it like watching him kind of dial in for something that kind of extensive in such a short amount of time?
Pretty good. He seemed pretty chill, confident, honestly, the whole time. Like, I think also like when he fought, he went against that Max Hansen kid, at trials, and he kind of like went through him a bit. So he was like he was worried about Max. He's like, okay, that's a tough guy. But then he fought him at trials, and then so he was like really confident going into the thing, and like I think he had like because he lost to Andrew at trials, so I think he like took some of that and went over to the PGF. So he was ready. It seemed like he was mentally ready for that tournament, and but yeah, it was a lot of matches. That's what was crazy. What was it, 14 matches or something like that? 12 matches.
I think when it was all said and done, I think he had about 15, if I'm doing the math right, and I could be wrong. I'll be very honest with you. Even though I'm not competing, the amount of TV I was producing that week made me somewhat loopy. So, some of it felt a little bit like a fever dream, so that at a certain point when people were behind us and were like kind of cameoing in, you would think like, is Eddie Bravo right behind me trying to like make faces at the camera, or am I hallucinating this? Because I feel like it is. At one point, we made mention of a twister and he just showed up behind a curtain and he's like, Dead Planet. And I go, I think I'm high. Like, I think that's what's happening now. I think I have actually gotten a contact high from all this. The one note I did tell Andy, because I did pick him on my fantasy league. I want to make sure he always knows that. But we did a post-exit interview and I did tell him this. I was like, when he shared that he didn't want to do that third place match, I did tell him, I was like, honestly, that was why I picked you, because I felt like once he came back and got that was him winning the PGF right there. Like, that was him deciding, like, fuck this. Okay, if I'm going to go out there and show up now I've got something to prove to myself. And I just thought, you kind of want to bet, if you're a gambler, on somebody who obviously who's skilled, but who has that little extra more to go off of. And PJ, who I'd like to think is a friend of the show, was giving me mess all week and being like, why didn't you pick me? And I go, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad the week of. So I was just like, hey, man, I didn't pick you. And then, we get to the end of the week. He gets statistically out of the competition. And, I'm giving him his props. I'm like, dude, you deserve to be number one draft pick. You are very good at what you do. And he's like, cool, but you didn't pick me. And I was like, was I wrong?
Yeah.
And he just goes, okay, yeah, that's fair. And I'm like, listen, bro, it's a gambler's thing. It's just knowing that little bit. And, I was very happy for Andy. I thought that was a great showcase for him, and he earned it very well, because he mentioned it several times on it being such a grueling process. But it did have me think, all things considered, put everything aside, put the MMA and figuring out how it would work. I couldn't help but think about your name in that PGF style. And I knew you had just had a fight, but I also knew you were a contact away. Would something like that ever interest you? Maybe not even that, but I mean, still coming back and doing that kind of an intense week-long thing. Would you be able to do that, or would you ever have interest in doing something like the PGF? Should they do that weight class again?
Maybe it would be tough, because it's like it's a lot of matches like that. Honestly, the thing is about it is like I would love to do it if there was like if because there is so many matches in it, like there's just like that's just a lot of good valuable experience that I can just like put in my back pocket, you know what I mean? Like it's like with a bunch of high level dudes. The rule set is tough. Like I do submission only. I can do submission only and all that stuff. But I think the draws always hurts for me. Like I used to do like the submission underground, and it was like I would be like, if I didn't sub the guy or something like that, then it would just be a draw. And like in my head, I'm like, damn, now I was whooping up on this guy this whole time, and then at the end of the day, the guy's got a picture with both of our hands raised, and then he gets to tell everyone, yeah, I fought Kody, but we drawed. You know, like I definitely like the factor if there's like a winner and a loser in a match, just because it's like, yeah, like I don't want someone to skeet by on me and just put them defend everything, and then I'm passing their guard, taking their back, but I just can't choke them, and then we go draw. You know, I didn't like that as much, or I don't like those type of rule sets as much. But I thought the tournament itself though was like super cool.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, it just let's put it this way. It's not my baby. You know, PGF is BMAC and Zoltan's and all of them. That's theirs. But sometimes I would make mention of a person like, oh, wouldn't this person be there? And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're talking to that person. And I go, oh, are they really listening to us? Like, uh-oh. So in my back pocket, I was like, well, he's here. And if this dude did not take damage in his fight, then, you know, hey, listen, you're in that realm. So you were on my list. And I mean, I did pick Andy and I did win a fantasy draft. So I'm just saying, like, this giant brain's good for something. So you were at least on my call list, but I also realized I was like, well, my man deserves a vacation. He worked very hard, and you did have not just a walkout home run fight. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit more straining than just going out there and getting a walk-off KO, which you've done before. So just wanted to pass that along, but I was glad that you were able to witness this. I would like to get this information out here, though. So I do want to know, given your closeness with the Tackets, why did you play this prank on them? Like, why did you tell them to come to Colorado to come get this car and then ditch them?
Man, I don't know. Those boys, I'm telling you, they're crazy. They're like, dude, we just found this truck. It was it's like $1,500, $1,400 or something. Like me and the boys, we're gonna fix it up, and then we're gonna sell it for 10 grand and make some money off of it. I was like, dang, like that's super cool. Like I wish I could do that. That'd be so dope. And then like they were like calling me, and they're like, dude, no. They're like, we just got scammed, man. What the heck? And like I was like, yeah, brother. I was like, I don't know. Now, honestly, I'm scared to use the Facebook market. Like, I don't need any of that in my life happening to me. But you know, those kids, dude, they're crazy. That's how they are, though. You know, they'll find something and they can fix it up, flip it, so cheap as a car, and then they're gonna make money off of it.
Bless them. It's just, you know, I saw it go up. I'll give you my perspective. I see it on there, and I see William put the front face cam and just going like, hey, everybody. So we saw this Facebook listing, and I was like, cool, where's the car? And it's a car, and we're going to fix it up. And I was like, cool, show me the car, please. Don't tell me there's not a car. And it doesn't look like that. And I was like, oh, God, I hate this so much, because my heart just sank for them. And, you know, he's taking it in a good stride. He's obviously making fun of himself and themselves. And I sent him a note, and I just go like, hey, bud, no one got hurt. Everybody's fine. It's a little bruise on the ego, but you're taking it well. Like, all things considered, it's just fine. Having said that, there is a part of me that thinks these are the wrong people that if they ever did find you, they are trained little assassins that would just murder the shit out of you. So I'm hoping they are never found for the mere sake of their own safety at this point, because I just thought it was like, yeah, that's the wrong set of people to do that to, my guy.
I know. It don't make no sense. Those guys, man, they're too sweet to be having things like that happen to them in life. I'm like, what the hell?
So, okay, I'm going to ask this as well, because this didn't come up in recent times, at least when you were in there. But now that they're starting to talk about a BDCC, you got Craig Jones, who's looking for 32 competitors. At some point, though, at some juncture, when you're looking for all these other opportunities, that is guaranteed show money. Is that of interest to you? Is that something that you would be interested in competing in, considering the fact that I don't know how anything fits into your schedule or what is going to go into your schedule?
Yeah, I've been seeing that around. I haven't gotten anything notified about doing them yet, but it's definitely on my radar. That's for sure. The only thing is, I hear that they're going to be doing like the same day as ADCC, like the same exact day. So there's that, but also I don't know. It depends with the contenders because I think first week of contenders is August 13th or something like that. So that's like the first show, and then they go like every week. There's another show, another show, another show. Um, so it really depends on like where I'm at with that. Like if I fight August 13th and I get it out of the way, then and everything's good, then I'm definitely down to jump in on that bracket and do that because it's a good weight for me. I think it's like 80 kgs up and down or something like that. I don't know. So it'd be a good weight for me to be at for like I wouldn't be fighting guys that are like way bigger than me. I'd be fighting guys like just about my size, I feel like. So I would definitely be interested in it. Just kind of depends on where everything lands, MMA wise.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings it's that weekend as well. I can't substantiate any of it. So I just know that when I hear rumblings like that, I can't help but think, just given your MMA schedule, sometimes, like I said, you're in the back of my mind. I'm sure you're in the back of a lot of people's mind. And if you were in the back of my mind for PGF, I can only assume you're probably similarly thought for that kind of experience as well, especially as they're going to get into some real tough conversations with a number of athletes who are going to go, I don't want to ruin my ADCC chances. I don't want to make the bad choice. So I'm just saying, I would not be surprised if something works out in your favor, or at the very least, someone just goes, hey, just tested the waters here. Highlight real Kody Steele. What if this were to happen? So, all right, well, more to come on that. Sir, I do kind of want to ask this just kind of as we circle here, which is this. We obviously don't know the date. We kind of know that the starting point for the Contender Series is around that August time. So, how do you see these next couple months happening for you? And like, what are you looking at? Like, what does the picture in your head in this next year look like?
I got so yeah, like I said, everything so far has been lining up pretty good. But I see myself locking in, staying locked in till contenders. Not wasting any days and just getting ready for that. And then I see myself finishing this guy on contenders, making a pretty good statement. I don't know how I'm going to finish him, but I'm going to finish him. And then I'm going to get my contract. And then I would like to make a quick turnaround and make my debut in the UFC. And then finish that guy, get a bonus, and then we'll go from there.
So you're thinking in your head, almost kind of like that turnaround right before the holidays, either, that November, December card kind of like turnaround, like a fast, let's end the year on a big note sort of thing with a big debut.
Yeah, I would like that. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it is what it is because that just gives you more time to prepare. But I definitely like my last three fights. I finished these guys, and the first guy I finished, like he was like my first fight after like a good while. Like I was like I said, like I was traveling all over the place. I was like not competing in jiu-jitsu. I was not competing. I was just turning a lot of offers down. I was just kind of like I would tell other people like I was just like kind of in my like bat cave. I was just like just trying to like stay to myself, visualize and train really, really hard. And like then like when it was time to come back out and start competing again, then I was like, I'm gonna go off. And that's when I ended up like knocking that dude out. So then after that, did crazy run of trials, and after that, I got matched up with Mika, and things just kind of started rolling and happening. And so like I said, I've been seeing this. It's like been like a plan in my head for a really long time. It's all been come down. Because at the time, like I said, like I was like, I need 3 more fights, and I need to finish all 3 of these fights. And I'm gonna finish all 3 of these fights, and after that, I'm gonna get on contenders, and then when I get to contenders, I'm gonna finish this dude, and then I'm gonna get to the UFC, and then I'm gonna lock down another win before the end of the year and start collecting bonuses.
Good man. I want to start working on this with you now, though. I want to start making sure you got to start working on that face that they do when they're in the holding tank after they win. So, it's similar to when people say they have a poker face, where it's just like you can't read it. You've got a decent poker face. Granted, I think I could take some of your money, but I just want to point this out. If you do look at this, you want to strike a line between not being too needy, but kind of there. So if you're kind of looking for the right face to go with, I think you leaning in the chair just being like, hey, I don't know if I'm getting picked. I think that might be the way to go, because I see those guys get probably picked slightly more if I'm looking at body language, because they're just like, hey, I'm here for a good time. Do you like that knockout? Oh, God, we got picked. Oh, man. Oh, thank you so much. And then just so people don't think you're a douchebag, come back and really hit home like, love America, love this. Love Las Vegas. You guys love the UFC. Can't wait to put on a show for you guys. So that's my best advice for you, sir.
Let's go. I'll take that. I'm writing that down.
Absolutely. Yes. Take it from a pro. Sir, I'd love to give you the camera right now. Go ahead and shout out sponsors, anybody who helped you on that last fight to get you to where you need to go and who's going to be taking you to where you want to go. So camera is on you, sir.
Yeah, well, always thank you. Level Black. Can't see it. That's my shirt. He's the man. Always been supporting me, had my back, making a dream alive. And then also ATH. They've been helping me out a bunch, giving me tons of supplements and having my back. So yeah, thank you for that.
That's what's up, sir. We eagerly anticipate what's coming up next for you. And, I'm going to close up this little portion of the show right now, and then we'll take a look at your fight. So if you guys want to tune into that, you got to be a premium member. If not, we'll describe it to you later and tell you it was fun. But Kody, my thanks to you. And, listen, man, I'm just going to tell you, I'm a little sad that you had to duck. I forgive you. I've gone through some therapy, and I've talked to people about it, and I've been like, I like Kody. I understand he had to go to the other boys. They need it more. You know what? That's what it is. Those guys needed that at that juncture. They're a new podcast. They're just learning. What is under 100 episodes? You don't figure it out till 200. So I'm very happy to see continued success for you, sir. So keep up the great work. And we definitely in the jiu-jitsu community will be watching and rooting along, sir.
Appreciate it. And thank you for having me as always. It's my favorite podcast to be on.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think you're off the air now. You know what though? Good sell, because that's exactly the way you should be selling people those dummies when you end up getting your contract on Dana White's Contender Series. That's 100% the way to go. Kody Steele, everybody. I'll see you in a second, sir. All right, I forgive him. Whatever. All right, check this out. This is a t-shirt. Get one. It is a Grappling Hour t-shirt. You can go on rafasparza.com/merch. You can also go on over to grapplinghour.com to get yours. You can also like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't know what you want to comment on right now, I will tell you this. The comment that we will ask you to put in the comment section is, if you were to pick, would you pick ADCC or would you pick BDCC? Just go in there. Tell me your honest opinion, because I got to tell you guys, it's one thing to do that tournament. It's another thing, and very ballsy, to do it the same weekend, which it does look like that is what people are talking about. Whether it is in actuality, we'll see. A couple quick other reminders. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify at Grappling Hour. Check out our Discord at Grappling Hour. And my friends, that's going to do it for us here on the show. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.